Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in to Independent Fire Training. Let's jump right into this and talk about 9-inch battery-powered cutoff saws and why we're making this video. Now these saws, they're not new. They've been out for a few years now. There's actually a couple of other competitors out there too, Makita, Husqvarna, Steel, but we neglected to test those because these are the two most common brands. So what we're here to test today are these two saws. What you see is what we bought for the testing. So the DeWalt kit was $8.99. We got the saw, the rapid charger, two 9-amp-hour batteries, an abrasive blade, and a general purpose diamond blade. The Milwaukee kit was actually on sale. This was $6.99, but it came with exactly the same thing. So you got the tool itself, a rapid charger, an abrasive, and a general purpose diamond blade, and then you actually get two 12-amp-hour batteries with the Milwaukee saw. Now both saws for the test were running 9-inch Desert Diamond Industries fire safety blades, just to keep it fair and uniform. These blades have been awesome. We have nothing but good things to say about them. Their customer service has been awesome. Really great company to work with. Very impressed with their blades. Now, for the testing itself, we did 4 stations. One, we cut rebar at various angles and heights just to get kind of a feel for the saw, the weight of the saw, how it felt in our hands, and then to simulate cutting, like window bars, security bars, things like that. We cut up twisted chain and padlocks with the saws. We cut through a metal door with 7/16 drop bar bolts installed, and then we cut through the hood of a Ford minivan and then other parts on the van itself to give kind of a general overview and give these saws a fighting chance to show what they're capable of. Now, when it comes to these kinds of saws, there's no real substitute for your traditional 14-inch gas-powered saw. Like this saw is not going to go and vent, commercial roof. This saw is probably not going to go and, open up, an overhead rolling steel door. But they have their place. They're great for light duty forcible entry. They're lightweight. They're quiet. You can, operate them off a ladder. They're small. I've spoken with some guys across the country that literally run these on their medic units or rescues or whatever you call them in your neck of the woods. They work great on a truck company and a complement to the rest of the saws. They'd work great on, say, like a the squad concepts that we see a lot out in Colorado now, like an F550 pickup truck with a box on the back. They really do have their place. There's just no replacement for displacement yet, so the gas-powered saws are going to remain king for now. But definitely something for you guys all to look into and consider carrying at your place of work. Okay, let's talk about the 9-inch DeWalt battery-powered cutoff saw. This was a great saw, fantastic saw. Would make a fine addition to any engine or truck company, squad, what have you. This is actually a saw we're demoing at my current department, so I was very impressed with this saw. Quite simply, this saw is the better feeling of the two saws in your hand. It's got better ergonomics. The D handle here is over molded. It actually has rubber on it. It just feels good in your hand. Same thing with the trigger here, the throttle. The position of the throttle lock right here just felt better than the Milwaukee that has it built into the trigger itself. We like that a lot. The DeWalt in the battery compartment has an onboard tool, which we like a lot because it lives in here, and when you close this, it doesn't get lost. That's really slick. It doesn't quite have the functionality that the Milwaukee tools have, but it was a huge plus. We like that a lot. One thing we didn't like so much about the DeWalt was the difficulty you have in changing the position of the blade guard. So whereas the Milwaukee is just mounted with friction, you just push or pull on it to change it. This one you actually have to pull on this and then adjust it to one of the 5 slots. So again, not that big a deal, but we're trying to be a little detail oriented here, and that was one nick against this. Now another mark against the DeWalt was that it only comes with a 9-amp-hour battery. Now, the Milwaukee comes with a 12, and the Milwaukee outcut the DeWalt. It got more cuts to a battery on full charge, whereas the DeWalt died sooner. So do keep that in mind. This is a great saw. It absolutely dominated on most material with the Desert Diamond Industries 9-inch fire safety blade. Great saw. Just got edged out by the Milwaukee saw, quite honestly. All right, so here we are with the Milwaukee 9-inch M18 cutoff saw. We felt, in our unscientific firefighter opinion, that this was the better of the two saws. Now, again, that all comes down to personal preference, what you're running at your department. I mean, they're both great saws. But bottom line is, this saw felt more powerful. We had the exact same blade on. We were cutting through the exact same cutting medium, the hood of a Ford minivan. We had the same operator on the saw, and we noticed less bogging and just faster cutting with the Milwaukee overall. Also, one big plus to Milwaukee over the DeWalt is that the Milwaukee has a 12 amp hour battery, where the DeWalt only has a 9. So the batteries lasted longer on the Milwaukee. That being said, the Milwaukee saw was also the only saw to overheat a battery during the testing. So the way these saws work, both the DeWalt and the Milwaukee, the battery lives in this little cubby hole here, right? Slide it in, lock it in, close it, you're ready to work. Now this Milwaukee saw was working hard. We were doing a lot of cutting. The problem with this enclosed design, which is nice, it keeps dust and water and stuff out, is it doesn't have that airflow, right? That normally like an air-cooled motor, or say even in like the Husqvarna or the steel saws, their batteries are mounted on the side so they get that airflow. So the battery actually overheated on the Milwaukee. Now it wasn't that big a deal. We popped this up, switched the battery out, popped new in it, it worked fine, but do be aware that that's a problem with both the DeWalt and the Milwaukee. The Milwaukee was just the only one to actually do it. Now, one thing we also really liked about the Milwaukee was the onboard tool selection. So mounted in the tailpiece here, you have a scrunch, right? That's for changing your blade, that's for your arbor nut there. Another thing we really liked is that the scrunch comes with a Torx bit to fit into whatever you may need in the saw. So we like that a lot. There's also a Allen key built into the side right here. Again, very cool. We like the onboard selection of the Milwaukee. We just weren't crazy about the onboard mounting of these tools. So we could easily see these getting lost on scene, vibrating out into your compartments, what have you. One final note on this saw compared to the DeWalt. The firefighters that use this, the overload light, which is right here, it lights up when you are bogging down the saw, making the saw work too hard. They thought, maybe just because of the design of the handle, that they thought this was actually easier to see than the DeWalt. So that is why, after our very unscientific and rigorous testing, we've decided that the Milwaukee saw is the better of the two saws. But honestly, it's by, just by the skin of its teeth. They're both great saws. You can't go wrong with either saw. Okay, now for some final thoughts. What saw do you really honestly buy? Personally, it comes down to what I'm already running on my engines and truck companies, and what I have for power tools, batteries, and chargers at my disposal. We're already running DeWalt's at my current department, so we're going to run the DeWalt saw. I'm running Milwaukee tools at my house, so I'm going to run the Milwaukee tool for IFT. It just comes down to kind of what your system's already set up for. They're both great saws. They're within like millimeters of each other when it comes to length, weight, cutting depth. I mean, they're right neck and neck in almost every aspect of the game. One thing we have to remember too, these are saws that were built for the construction trade. So, cutting concrete, pipe, things like that, things that aren't necessarily, in the wheelhouse of forcible entry. So it doesn't always translate very well. These saws can't be converted to outboard. Their dimensions are a little weird, so it takes a little getting used to. Again, there's no replacement for the 14-inch gas-powered saws, but it's definitely something that everybody should look at and consider carrying in their saw complement. Okay, if you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of it. Like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at Independent Fire Training on Facebook and Instagram. We're trying to put out content 4 to 5 times a week on rotary saws, forcible entry, building size ups, things like that. And we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.